Hariom, Namaste, and welcome back to Premaloka Yoga and Awakened Heart Yoga. So this is part 2 in my series on authenticity and awareness in yoga. In part 1 we briefly covered how authenticity and awareness became integral parts of your life when you embraced yoga as a whole and not just the asana aspect to yoga, but embraced yoga as a lifestyle. We mentioned living a yogic life or a life through yoga. And we talked about the bhavas, the body's emotional response to asana, and how we talked about the tangible aspects of the asana and the mat and meditation and pranayama, and how these parts of yoga raised our vibration, our energy, and how being in touch with ourselves truly, deeply, our true selves, and the emotional aspect of ourselves couldn't help but bring awareness to our life and authenticity as we looked truly deeply within ourselves and grew to know ourselves, and how that attached to the high frequency that yoga helped us to emit, that we then attracted higher energy towards ourselves. Now we're going to take that further again and explain how that yogic lifestyle really does help with the authenticity and awareness aspects in our life. So I said that I'd come back and discuss briefly the 8 limbs of yoga, which I'm going to do today, but we're actually really only going to focus on the first 2, which are the yamas and the niyamas, and this will be for obvious reasons. First of all, I'll tell you that the 8 limbs of yoga are the yamas, the niyamas, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. So the yoga, the 8 limbs, ashtanga of yoga, came from an ancient seer and philosopher Patanjali, a extremely revered yogi who many would say gifted the world the Yoga Sutras. From that came the 8 limbs of yoga, from which come the yamas and the niyamas. And these 8 limbs and the sutras were handed down through the generations, thousands of years ago. Before they were even written, they were handed down verbally, told from guru to student and guru to student throughout the years. And these were considered to be by many a shortcut to the divine, or a shortcut to liberation by following these 8 limbs of yoga, a shortcut to liberation and knowledge of the divine in yourself. And it is really worth pointing out that the yamas and the niyamas were the first 2, and you weren't taught the 3rd, asana, until you had mastered the first 2. These first 2, the yamas are the restraints, ways not to live and be, and the niyamas are ways to be. And it was considered extremely important that a yogi mastered these before he was taught asana, or they were taught asana. This being because, and I'm sure you can relate to this if you do any yoga at all, that asana changes your frequency, it changes your energy, the energy that you emit. And it was considered that to know how to direct and use that energy properly, you needed to be following the Yamas and the Niyamas, which were ways of living a life, the best life that you could, and being the best person that you could, and therefore fully capable of directing, absorbing and emitting the frequencies that asana and pranayama and meditation raised within the physical body and outside of the physical body. I'm sure, to me, it's in this time that we're living in now, it is a shame that there is so much emphasis placed on asana and nowhere near enough emphasis placed on the yamas and the niyamas and how we use the energy correctly that asana brings or emits, helps us to create. So we're going to move on to the yamas first, and I'll explain to you what these are. So the first five, there are 5 yamas and 5 niyamas, some say, because before they were written and they were only said that it was easy to remember. We have 5 fingers on each hand. So the first is ahimsa, the second is satya, the third is asteya, the fourth brahmacharya, and the 5th is apigraha. So we'll start with the first. The first, ahimsa, is simply explained as, or translated to be, non-harming. It is, others would say that it is non-killing, to not hurt or harm or kill anything. But simply put, it is on a physical basis, it is non-harming physically. It is also non-harming emotionally, mentally. It simply means kindness. It means showing and displaying and acting with kindness to all, to everything that you come across, to people, to animals, to the environment. It is kindness. And a lot of on the physical side, it is the non-harming of people, it is the non-harming of animals, hence why a lot of yogis are vegetarians, and they are very aware of the environment and how we treat animals and plants and trees and the earth. So that is ahimsa, kindness to all, non-harming. And then we have next satya, a really key and important yama. It means truthfulness. It means, obviously, simply put, not lying to others, not lying to yourself. It means keeping your energy output clean and high, with the words that you speak being words of truth. To go within yourself, tell yourself the truth. Don't fool or kid yourself. So truthfulness is a pretty easy one to conceptualize. It's not an easy one necessarily to live by. We're all known to fall into partial untruths, and we all know how doing so lowers our energetic vibration. And truthfulness is a really good one, actually, to give you an example of how you may all, or very few of us, have never told a lie, even if it's just a small lie, and very few of us won't have experienced the way that our energy and emotion, our vibration lowers when we tell a lie. It can be likened to that physical sinking feeling within your tummy that you might get when you know that something that you've said is not quite the truth or doesn't come from that good energetic aspect of yourself. You definitely lower your vibration. So it's a really that I think could be quite tangible. We could relate, most of us could relate to that. So we don't want to do anything that lowers our energy and our vibration. So before I digress too much and get involved in too many, we'll move on to the third, which is aster, which is non-stealing. It's taking nothing that doesn't belong to you. And obviously that refers to the material, but it also refers to stealing time, stealing someone else's energy, their vibration, by lowering it, by doing something negative towards them. It's about not taking someone else's words and claiming them as your own. So we would say in yoga that there is no such thing as free, that there is always an energetic exchange. So no matter what you're given, there is an energy of exchange. And so when we talk about non-stealing or not taking, we are reminded that every time we take, we should give, even if that's on an energetic level. So the fourth is brahmacharya, which is restraint. In ancient times and still today, in some walks of life, it is referred to as sexual restraint. Brahmacharyans have complete sexual restraint where they don't expend their energy sexually but reserve it. In this day, it could be more referred to as a restraint of if we were talking about your sexual energy, it would be a restraint of that energy, but simply maybe never having sex, but being aware of not thinning out the energy by scattering it everywhere, maybe reserving the potency of that energy and using it when it is attached to love. I think is a simple and good way to view it these days, is that the sexual energy is reserved to when it is used with love. But it's not only about, in my opinion, brahmacharya, about sexual restraint, it's about restraint in general. We are unfortunately a part of a society where greed is a huge factor, and in yoga we look at trying to bring restraint into what we want and desire. We weigh up want versus need, and we are aware of trying to use restraint when it comes to wanting on a material and an emotional, even on a physical and intellectual basis. And the last is apigraha, and this is non-avarice, and it ties directly back to restraint in many ways. It's about greed and about being content. So it's also about being just simply happy with what you have at any given moment, about knowing that exactly how things are at the moment is okay, that it's all okay, to know that we don't continually need to want more and more, that we can be just happy and content right now with what we have. And contentment is such a beautiful space to sit in, a space of contentment. It certainly leads to gratitude, and then of course gratitude is key to our happiness. So you can see, looking at these 5 yamas, how they can't help but lead towards authenticity and awareness of ourselves, our impact on others, and then that in itself leads to you being the very best, most authentic person that you can be, and living this authentic life that the yamas encourage us to live. Some might say, why would we follow these restraints? And I would say that surely you are aware, that we're all aware that we have this energy, this aura around ourselves, and that aura can either be low in energy or it can be high in energy, vibration and frequency. And the yamas and living in this way will absolutely, without a doubt, raise your energy to be high and your frequency to be the high and the best frequency that it can be. Okay, so we're going to move on, because I'm aware that time is ticking, to the niyamas, and these are the ways to be. These are the ways to aspire to be, and they are 5 in number also, and they are sausha, which is purity and cleanliness of energy, and there is next, number 2 is santosa, which is contentment and optimism and acceptance. The 3rd is tapas, and that's all about hard work. The 4th is swadhyaya, which is knowledge of yourself. And the last is ishwara pranadhara, which is devotion, knowledge of the divine within yourself and the divinity outside of yourself. It is a realization that there is a bigger picture. So we're going to go back to sausha first, and we talk about purity and cleanliness. So obviously it does refer to cleanliness on a physical level, being clean in your person. I always think that it also refers to, being clean before even coming to the yoga mat. So starting off your day with a shower, cleaning yourself even before you step onto the mat. The moment you wash away, the night that you have had, the sleep, the energy of sleep, you start to raise your physical vibration and your energy, and then you bring that to the mat. It's about having a clean environment in the house that you live in, keeping it uncluttered and the energy high. You know yourself, if you've been into unclean places, that you can pick up on that low energy immediately. It's about as simple as not wearing your shoes inside the house, about maybe keeping a bucket of water by the door to wash your feet if you've been outside barefoot. And it's about keeping your mind and your energy clean. It's about trying to keep negativity or darkness out of your mind and energy. It's about keeping your words clean, the words that you pass on to other people, what you speak. So I'm just reminding you that I'm giving you a brief take on these, and hope that it's simple and easy for you to follow. I could spend hours on each one. Okay, moving to number 2 of the Niyamas is Santosa, and that is contentment, optimism. It's about being happy, and we'll be able to see how these relate back to the restraints, the Yamas. It's about being and sitting in the knowledge that everything is okay, just as it is now. Keeping your frequency and vibration high by saying, I'm absolutely okay as I am at any given moment. Not striving all the time for more. It's about keeping your frequency high, so being optimistic. This directly relates to awakening your Anahata chakra, is this keeping an optimism in life and an acceptance of everything being okay. So then we'll move on to tapas, which is where we come into the work aspect, working hard at working hard at creating this life, at living this life. I mean, it's not easy to follow all of these restraints or ways to be. We need to work on it, and we also, it's a knowledge that anything worth doing is worth doing well, and that's where tapas is fire and motivation come into it. We commit to this, even if it's as simple as your yoga practice, committing to it, to that practice being daily, working on the Yamas and Niyamas daily, reminding ourselves when we stray from the path to come back again, because we're all aware that we don't live like this 100% of the time. We'd all be saints, but it's what we aspire to be, and it's how quickly, when you falter from the path, do you come back to it with being optimistic, with being kind, with being content, with never harming or hurting or telling an untruth. I'm digressing. So that's tapas. So swadhyaya is next, and that's knowledge of yourself. That's going within and knowing yourself. It's seeing what you love about yourself, embracing it and acknowledging it. It's also seeing what you might not like so much about yourself and acknowledging that, not getting hung up on it, but acknowledging it and releasing it, or deciding that you're going to let that part that doesn't serve you go. So it's a deep knowledge and understanding of yourself, and this really is where authenticity and awareness, kicks in, is that, being authentic in your acknowledgement of what you see within yourself, being aware of that, embracing, as I said, all the good within you, letting go of what no longer serves you, and acknowledging that this is what you're doing. So knowledge of yourself, swadhyaya. And so lastly we have Ishvara Pranadhana, and this is devotion to the divine. So devotion to the divine within yourself, devotion to the divine that surrounds you. So it's an acknowledgement that there is a much bigger picture than just yourself, that there is a whole, and there's a higher being, or a higher energy. And also I think that, collectively we are all one, and devotion to that knowledge, and devotion to all that is higher, that surrounds us and looks after us, gives us the air to breathe, and this earth and universe that we are in this time around, or at this present time, and acknowledging the divinity there. and showing devotion to that. So those briefly are the Yamas and the Niyamas, and I'm sure that if you've stuck with me, I hope you have, well done if you have stuck with me, that you have seen how it's really quite a simple concept to be able to see how living in this way, or living following these Yamas and Niyamas, couldn't help but raise your vibration. It couldn't help but, fill your life with authenticity and awareness, and that you will shine that light out. It's really important to realize that the vibration that you emit is what you attract. I really truly believe that. So if you vibrate at a high light frequency, you'll draw that high light energy to yourself, and that has so many fundamental benefits in your life, to be surrounded by and live in this high energy space. And it doesn't mean that your energy never becomes low. It just means that you live in this high vibration.
Sorry, Mom, I'm going to go away something.
So if you've stuck with me, you may have seen my 2-year-old, my youngest, just potter in front of the window. How delightful. So that is it anyway. This is the second part in authenticity and awareness. Because there is so much to cover, I thought I might cover it in 2, but I'm definitely going to be coming back for a 3rd shot. So I'm very grateful to you if you were interested and tuned into this, and yoga is becoming part of your life on a wider and broader level. Namo Narayan. See you again. Thank you.